Today we're going to talk about the power of the crop. I think cropping is a card making superpower, definitely a superpower in design. And today I'm going to show you how to take a big, beautiful image and crop it different ways to get different looks. To unleash the drama of the crop, stick around. It's good drama. It's not the bad drama. That video is coming up next. Here's a look at the products I'll be working with today, and this is the Magical Peony press plate. This is a large press plate, and it is, well, I mean, that's my hand. It's really big, but big images give you a lot of options for cropping, which is what we are going to look at today. I also have the coloring stencils. There are 4 different stencils in this set. And of course, with Alta New stencils, you often get the guide to how this lays out. I am going to work with oranges today. I don't have all of those, but I'm going to use a collection that I have because I have orange peonies at my house. Now, in order to get started, and again, this is a press plate, we are going to use some pigment ink for this. I love this ink. It is so dark and so crisp, and that is going to be the ink. But before you do that, you have to decide on how you're going to do this. Now, I'm going to take this off here and show you. I cut a half sheet of cardstock. This is 110-pound weight. This is the Nina Classic Crest in Solar White. You can do it 2 ways. You can impress and stamp your image with the paper being tall, or you can turn it horizontal and do it this way. The reason you want to kind of play with this a little is how are you going to crop your card? If I am going to do, and I'll show you this, I've got some cropping panels here, and I will link to where you can print out your own. These are just panels that I made using my shape dies for rectangles. If you are starting to plan your card, you might want to, first of all, just visualize, right? Maybe you have some rectangle dies. Bring those out, lay them down, and kind of think about where you might want that crop to be. Now, this is a 4 by 5 1/4 crop. I usually go a little smaller, but when you start to move it around, you'll get an idea. So I'm going to do this one horizontal orientation. So let me grab the Better Press and my Spellbinders machine. I'm going to take the clear plate off the top and pick up my, well, I guess I can pick it up. I hate to dip, there we go. By the way, these little magnets from Simon Says Stamp, they work so well to pick up everything. But this space is where I want to put my little flower right in the center, okay? And of course, it will magnet down, and that way we are in the right orientation. I could even probably slide it up a little for this first go. Then I'm going to pop this on, grab my cardstock, and just make sure that I center it. Now I will want to tape this down. As you do, I'm just going to tape the corners to hold the cardstock in place. Now with this particular press plate, you don't need any fancy paper. You can use regular cardstock to do this, which is one of the reasons that I love press plates for this type of thing. It's just really, they're really all purpose, and it's basically another way to stamp with a little bit of texture. All right, so I'm going to take my Obsidian ink. Also, this ink works wonderfully with these, and all right, we're just going to press and twist a little to get that coating. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to take this friend, flip it, drop it on the magnets, and then we're going to run it through the Platinum 6. And I just go nice and slow. It doesn't really have resistance at all. It just kind of moves through. You can feel it, but go through slowly, and you're going to transfer that beautiful image to the cardstock. Okay. And then I will lift this up and look at that image. It is so beautiful. All right, I'm going to set this aside for a second. Now, with this type of plate and ink, I actually purchased some archival ink cleaner, which does work really well for this, but a little heads up, maybe I've said this before in previous videos, you don't have to squeeze. Just dab it on all over to get your plate clean. The reason I say don't squeeze is the first time I bought one of these, I thought, oh, I don't really see any. So I squeezed it really hard and the top popped out and everything came out. So once you get this on, then if you like, this is what I do, take a little water and a cloth. And look at how clean that comes really quickly. It's just a great way to get them clean. And now we are ready to move on. Now I'll just lift this off of the plate and take off my tape. This should come off no problem. Just put that on my wrist for now because I like to collect tape. And you can do one of two things. Because this is a pigment ink, it's going to need to set and dry, but you can use a heat tool. I like to use my heated tool for stuff like this, so I will just heat set this so that I can use it. Doesn't really warp the paper too badly at all when it's a large piece, but I still will flip it. And that should help the ink to stay set and where it needs to be. Now let's get ready to add color. Even though I just heat set this, I'm going to use one that I just did earlier in the day to save a little time. And let's see here, I guess I'll come down right about here. I just want to make sure that nothing runs at all. Now, a couple of things. I have my inks that I'm going to use. These are, let's see if I get all the names lined up. Sunkissed, Orange Cream, Autumn Blaze, and Fire Brick. So those are the colors that I'm using. And now I'll bring in my stencil set. Of course, they are numbered, so you can look at that and say, oh, I need to go with number, well, it's there somewhere. I'm going to go with the first stencil and get this lined up. Now, this, of course, you're going to have to use a little tape because the stencil itself is not going to extend onto the grip mat here that I'm using. So once you get it in place, grab some tape to hold it down. And you can extend your tape, right onto the grip mat as needed, or it really just depends. But because this is such a big image, this is how we're going to do it. All right, I think that would be enough. This is Easy C tape, and it just is a great tape for this sort of thing. Now, we also need to mask. So I'm going to grab Post-it notes here. And this is just to make sure that when you're blending, like down here, you don't accidentally go onto the cardstock itself. So I'm just adding a few where I think they might be helpful. And I'll try to keep using the same ones as I go. I think I'll add one more. So now that we're lined up, I am going to start blending, and I will be speeding this up and talking you through it, but I wanted to show you because this is a new tool from Altenew, a little storage container. Now, there is a lid that goes on top of it. I have it in my drawer, and I am storing mine brush up because I don't want to splay out the brushes by trying to put them into the little holders down here, but it's got these little guys and it's really cute and it is really pretty sitting out with all those brushes. I used to try to keep brushes and have labels on them, but now I am just looking at them from a color standpoint. I have some new ones that I filled in with, but these are what I'm going to be keeping my Altenew brushes in, and I really do think this is a cool tool. So we're going to speed up. We're going to grab our brushes as we go. And I guess I'll put these over here out of the way. And we'll start with our lightest color, and I'll speed this process up. One of the things I love about working on this sticky mat is the size allows me to stick down my pads right onto the mat. So just as an added bonus to the sticky. Now I'm coming in here, just starting with sun-kissed, and I'm working from light to dark. So in the guide that the stencils come in, they show a light to dark combination, and any four colors that you have would work great for something like this. The poppies at my house really are orange. In fact, I should go see actually if they're out there. It's June. That's usually poppy season. Now I'm cleaning in between with alcohol, and I'll do that off camera so you don't have to watch that part, but it just is a quick and easy way to clean. Now I'm coming in with orange cream. So this is the mid-tone orange. It's got a lot of boldness to it depending on how heavy you go. So here I am trying to do a little bit of light and shadow and shading. I don't always know where the light's coming from, but honestly, I feel like sometimes if you just do a little, it's gonna look great. The next color is Autumn Blaze. This is a little bolder. One thing I will say, this is such a foolproof stencil. I love that the image has the thick lines, so it's easy to line up. The openings are really manageable, like there's no little fussy areas that you have to worry about going underneath. This would be a great beginner layering stencil. And you could use the stencil by itself, and that would give you a whole cool no-line look, but it's just an easy one to work with. Now look at that. Oh, it's coming together. This last color is Fire Brick, and this is a much more brown orange, so I wasn't sure how dark I wanted to go at first, but eventually I just, again, shot for some areas are lighter, some areas are darker. And that is another reason I like smaller brushes like the ones I'm using for this, because they give you a little more control over where the ink goes heavier in smaller spaces. But I think this looks great. And when we reveal, the magic has been done. So it comes together pretty quickly. And again, if you stay in one color family, you are going to be golden or orange. All right, moving on. I went ahead and created the greeting that I want to use. And sometimes before you crop, it's really good to know what your plan is so you can see how it's going to work together. This greeting set is called Versatile Greetings 3, and these are the combinations that you can have, thinking of you, for you, you are awesome, with sympathy. So you can make a bunch of combinations. I'm going to do a just because, and what I did was I took both of these and I cut jet black Altenew cardstock for the base. I layered two bases together. I cut one set of the jet black words and glued those to the base, and then I topped it with some Simon Says Stamp matte gold. So those are these greetings. Also, I wanted to show you, although I did not use them today, there is also a press plate set for Versatile Greetings 3, and of course, these dies cut them out. So if you like that look of press plate, these greetings are available in that design. So now is when we have to start planning our card. And if you don't have cropping squares, you can just use any shape die that you have. But I created these just so that I could isolate and really see a design before I commit to the crop. All I did was print out the free printable on my blog, and again, I will link that for you. And then I used my A2 layers dies from Waffle Flower Crafts to, let's see, there we go, to just cut these out, and then there's a little guideline that you trim on the outside. Very easy to make, but that way you can, well, you can crop to your heart's content. For example, I mean, you tight crop, anyone? It's a little too tight. I don't think you can see what that even is. But I like the idea that this will come off to the side. So what I like to do is just take my different crops and start planning how that panel will look. Now that also, no, that's actually pretty good. I tend to go, well, I love, let me see, is it 3 1/4? That's actually really nice because then you get this look. One of the things that's so cool about cropping a large image is that it creates a visual tension in the design. And visual tension in design isn't a bad thing. It's a dynamic thing. It adds energy. It adds surprise, it adds curiosity. Where did the rest of the flower go? I mean, it's just a way to create something visually interesting. And of course, we are offsetting the image to one side, the greeting can be on the other side. I'm going to come in here. Do I have my favorite crop? Oh, yeah, 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. That's one of my favorites. Now that, well, but see, I'm not sure here. I was so light up here, I don't want it to look like I missed something, but I really like a crop like that. So once you figure out that crop, you're ready to bring your die in and cut it out. Now there are other things that we could do here as well. Oh, okay, there is enough space here to crop. Look at this. This is just a different look. What if we did that? Now the because is pretty big, and that's why I kind of like the horizontal layout of this panel. I just feel like something like this is not as strong. You can kind of see that it's a little less dynamic, but because you have this half sheet of a 8.5 by 11, you could do that. But I really do think that this, let's see, let's get back up here again. This crop is really nice that way. And again, you can push it out as long as you have enough space to move, right? You can push it out and get that positioning just how you want it. So let me grab the die, drop this in so that it's in the right place, and I'll cut this out. Actually, the more I slide this over and have more open space, the more I kind of like that. And see, again, now we bleed off the top and bottom. I love a design where we bleed, which just means extend off the edge, 3 sides. And here we bleed right there, of course, this whole thing and that whole thing. It's just kind of a cool visual tension. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that little dropped piece of white. So again, I'm going to slide down. Yeah. And then that would come down, maybe even lower. I kind of think that's the look that I like. Yeah. Well, you got to be there it is right there. So now I can take the coordinating size die, make sure that crop is right in place, and I can trim this out. Alrighty, bringing that in, and then you might think to yourself, but Cathy, it's kind of a waste of the other side. Well, I'm going to show you a little trick. Oh, I guess I got a little white up there, but that's okay. Because check this out. Now, if you were feeling crafty, I'm just going to cut that and that. What you could do, let me get this lined up here, is take this little guy, take one of your smaller panels, maybe even like this little guy. Let's see what this is. 3 by 4.5. And you can line that up here like that. And make another panel for another card. So even though we cropped this down to have that certain look, now I pick this up. I don't know what that is. Hold on a second. I'll see if I can erase that off. There we go. Then I could turn this into a card, this into a card. It almost looks more like a mushroom edge when you do it this way. But that way you really can, do a little more with the leftover. Let me turn this into a card. Before I do, I want to add some shimmer and possibly some spatter in gold and black to this, just because, you know what, I can. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Distress Spritz, that's fossilized amber. And then I'm going to take a little, this is such a powerful tool. This is going to last me the rest of my life. I'm going to put a little wash. I literally don't even really need to squeeze it, just like tap. There we go. That's enough. This is a fantastic product. Alrighty. And now I'm going to add a little water to that one. I'm going to pick this up because this is already watery. And I'm just going to tap on some gold here, focusing more on the flower, but maybe a little out here in the edge too, just for a little shine and shimmer. And then this guy, I'm not even going to clean off my brush. I'm just going to pick it up. Now here I do want to, oh, that's very blobby. Hold on. All right, there we go. Here I'm going to practice just a few times because I just need a few. Trying to keep some of that more white out there, but this is so opaque, you can't see through it. I guess that's what I mean. I always confuse about that. There we go. That's what we're adding to this card. So let me let that dry. I'll clean this up, then I'll turn it into a card. Here are the two finished cards from the one piece. So here we have that nice offset and we have that lovely crop. You know, even though I see a little white there and white there, I think it's fine. I could color that in with a black marker if I felt like it, but you know what? We're keeping it there. But over here, I did use the press plates and use the same obsidian ink here to create the 4U. So that's nice if you like that kind of look. And here to finish this off, I just put it on a jet black note card and popped these up. Here I used some, where are they? Little satin pearl dots. And over here I used some of my Gina K Designs gold pearls. So that is a look at two of the crops and what different looks you get based on how you crop. Great crop. Let me show you one more card with a different colorway that shows you yet again how you can take an image like this and crop it. Here's another card I made using this color palette here, Soft Lilac, Lavender Fields, Deep Iris, and Midnight Violet. I followed the same light to dark, but look at the difference with the crop. So this panel is trimmed to be 4 3/4 by 3 1/2, so we have that nice margin of space. And here I cropped everything to go off the top and anchored the greeting down at the bottom. So that's a way to get more of the flower in. Of course, you don't have to trim it and crop it either. You can go full flower, but the whole point of this video is the power and the drama of the crop. Let's do a quick design review of all three cards. Let's start with card 1. I'm going to bring in my rule of thirds grid overlay. You can print on acetate that is compatible with your particular printer, and I just put some cardstock on either side. I'll be sure to have a link in my supplies to this printable. It's free and you can make one yourself if you like. But the reason I do it is to show you this composition and how does this design all fit? Well, right now we definitely have more in these 2/3, right? And the open third has a little bit of greeting. So this is an asymmetrical design. Most of the balance shifts to the right. Now here we do have the because centered, not centered, but more on this line. So this greeting is splitting this grid line right here. And that's a nice placement for it. Now I could have gone over a little more, but I wanted to preserve the space from the bottom and the side and have those be about the same. And then of course we have all of our little embellishments right in that center third. That was kind of unplanned, but it's a happy accident. So this has nice balance, nice even margins, and of course, I think this crop is really dramatic because it just explodes from the right side of the card. And I mean explode in a design sense, of course. There's no explosions here on my channel. Okay, let's take a look at this piece that just turned into the cutest little card. Now here, we'll just turn this to be vertical. And again, this is a rule of thirds is a principle in photography, but it works really well in design, especially card design, where we typically have a smaller canvas upon which we're working. And so it's nice to think about the cards you're making and how are you using the grid? How are you placing things down compositionally on your design? Well, here we have a really nice 4U just popped right into the center grid column, the center column, and it's right on that grid line again in between these two little intersecting points. And anywhere these points intersect, those are nice areas of focus on a design. Up here, it's white space. Up here, it's just part of this bloom. This is also asymmetrical. We are shifted off to one side with our balance. But again, when we frame out with this nice, even, well, it's about a 1/2 inch margin, it really creates this stable base for a design that has an asymmetrical lean to it. And of course, we have our repetition, which here we repeated golds, the color black all over with this with the actual pressed image, the cardstock, and the spatter, and then gold spatter, gold, that whole thing. I kind of forgot to mention that. Oh, it's been a day. Here, the same thing. Black repeats, white repeats. I use the matte pearls on here because I wanted it to be a little more understated. But of course, when you have that beautiful black line, and I will say this is a really easy layered stencil set to use. It's easy to line up. There's no little fussy areas in it at all. So if you've never tried a layering stencil and you want to give one a go with the inks that you have, this is a great one to try. And plus, it's such a big, beautiful image. I think there's a lot you could do with it. And for our last one here, we have, again, bringing in the grid. Now, the greeting here, again, is splitting basically on that line, dead center mostly. The sympathy is centered, but width needed to be shifted just a little so that that little serif edge could really come in nice and tight to this word below. Now, of course, this is kind of I guess I would call this asymmetrical from a horizontal standpoint because most of the color, most of the image appears in the upper 2/3. So we've got a little symmetry and we've got a little asymmetry. And again, we are repeating things such as we have silver metallic cardstock, and I used the silver pearls from my little Gina K set. And we repeat our black stamped image with the black shadow layers for the greeting. And those are my cards today. And if you haven't gotten into cropping your beautifully stenciled images, give it a try today because it is a surefire way to bring excitement, drama, and interest to your card projects in the best way. You can find links to all of the products I used in today's video in the YouTube description box. I'll also have a blog post with photos and more information over there as well. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I'd love to have you, so please hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the next time I post. I'm going to pop up another video that talks about my cropping panels if you want to learn more about them and how to make your own, and I will see you in that video. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.